A new year just started, and of course with it, a lot of new gacha games will be coming out. And because of this, I've decided to make a video quickly talking about which ones I'm most hyped for and I'm most anticipating. Some of you that do watch my streams probably already know which ones I'll be talking about in this video, because it is pretty obvious and I feel like most people are hyped for the same games I'll be talking about in this video. So you might not really be surprised. And to be honest, I was inspired by another YouTuber named Psyche. He makes a lot of really good gacha reviews and some other kinds of videos, but he also made a video talking about which gacha games for 2025 he's most interested in, so I kind of wanted to also do the same thing, because I do think this is a kind of an interesting video to talk about. But without further ado, here are my top 5 gacha games for 2025. In number 5, we have Tribe 9. Like most of the games in this list, Tribe 9 is another action RPG, and this one was actually made by the creators of Danganronpa. For those of you who do not know what Danganronpa is, it's basically a visual style kind of game, a mystery one, where a group of students get trapped in the school and they need to kill each other to actually escape this school. It's a very popular game. I really recommend everybody to play it for those of you who haven't. It's a very interesting mystery, and Tribe 9 definitely has the same kind of vibe Danganronpa has. So, as a really big fan of the series, I'm actually really excited for this game. I've tried the beta a few months ago, and it really captures the Danganronpa style. The gameplay is divided between two parts. The first part is the normal action style kind of combat kind of thing that most of you are used to. During the beta, the combat was reasonably good. It only had a few problems with the dodging mechanics because the dodge had a small delay. Hopefully they fixed that. And of course, also the thing everybody was complaining about, the first boss in the beta was actually way too hard. The difficulty spike was ridiculously high for some reason. A lot of people were complaining about it, so hopefully they also fixed that during the beta. And those were only really the two big problems in the game. Oh, and of course, I cannot forget about this. The game isn't really, or the game UI isn't really built for controller use. Hopefully they optimize it, because in the beta it was a little bit janky. But besides all of that, the gameplay was really nice. And of course, the second part I haven't talked about is the mystery solving section. And this section is where they actually play baseball of all things, or as they call it, extreme baseball, where the field is actually an entire city instead of a normal baseball sized field. And each base of the baseball field is like a specific spot in the city. So somehow they actually have to run all that distance. I don't know how they do it, but it looked like actually pretty damn epic and really insane. The music was also really good, incredibly good animations and models. Overall, the game looked really fun, and I really can't wait to try it again. I feel like the game probably isn't going to take too long to actually get released, because they have been doing a lot of social media posts, and of course there were also some sponsored streams by other streamers talking about the game and whatnot. So hopefully we don't really need to wait too much longer for the game to actually be released. Now for number 4, Arknights Endfield. I've actually played Arknights when it came out. I played it for around 1 year, and then I eventually stopped around when Genshin came out. It was basically before I got bored with the game, and my main issue with the game so far, I've tried going back to the game a few more times, but my main issue with the game so far is not having a feature to just skip the stages automatically and they give me the rewards. Kind of like Princess Connect does it, Girls Frontline does it, Blue Archive does it. You don't need to actually play the stages. They just take your stamina and they give you the rewards after, of course, you clear it for the first time. Arknights doesn't have that, and it's really annoying to just stare at the screen, seeing your units play the game by themselves until the stage actually gets complete. Fortunately, they eventually actually fixed that just for one game mode called Annihilation, but unfortunately, they didn't do that for the rest of the game. Outside of that, Arknight, the base game, is an amazing game. It's a really good strategy game, but this isn't really an Arknights review video, so Arknights Endfield is going to be a very different game from the base game or the first game. This one will be an open world and will be some kind of tactical action RPG kind of thing. It's going to have a very different kind of combat style. You basically control a team of 4 or 3 characters, if I remember correctly, and you have to manually position their skills or each of their skills around the field. They're all like skill shot type of skills, and and the time even like stops or slows down, kind of just like the base game. And it's a very like slow-paced kind of combat. It looked really interesting and it looked quite unique, very different from the likes of Genshin or Wuthering Waves or ZZZ. Outside of that, there's also some sort of base building simulator where you have to build some structures to actually produce materials, I guess a little bit like the dorm in Arknights. And of course, I can't forget to mention the world in this game actually looks beautiful. In my opinion, it's the best looking world so far from all the big open world games, better than Genshin, better than Wuthering Waves. But so far from what they've showed us, the game looks beautiful. And of course, the UI also looks incredibly beautiful. They have incredibly good looking UI, which is a very good surprise, because sometimes, I don't know if it's just me, if a game has bad UI, it really puts me off the game. It really makes me not actually play the game. So the fact that Arknights Endfield does have a really good UI makes me very happy. Now, number 3. I feel like most people might not know this one, and this one is called Chaos Zero Nightmare. This game is going to be made by the creators of Epic 7, a very popular game, also known, of course, for their amazing animations during their ultimate skills. And of course, Chaos Zero Nightmare will also have these amazing animations. They haven't really revealed too much about the game outside of this one gameplay trailer. However, this trailer does look incredibly good. The music sounds amazing. The animations look insanely good. The character designs look really cool. And from what they have showed, the gameplay is sort of like Slay the Spire. If you haven't played Slay the Spire, it's basically like a roguelike deck building game. I'm not sure if Chaos Zero Nightmare will also be a roguelike, but it is a deck kind of building game, or a deck game where you do need to choose a card to attack or to defend or to use a skill. My only real complaint about this game so far are the chibis they use in the game. They look a little bit weird. However, whenever you use a skill, you do get to see their actual full body sprite with all the details and whatnot, so it doesn't really matter too much. The chibis, I feel, don't really have too much screen time, which is a big plus for me. I'm not really against chibis overall, it's just this case, these chibis aren't really that good looking. Outside of that, the trailer also showed some really interesting mechanics where some characters lose their sanity and just, I don't know, something happens to them. And apparently characters even die in brutal ways. It's kind of ridiculous. I have no idea what's happening. Maybe it's probably something to do with the lore in the game, but it looked incredibly cool and it looked super unexpected. It's not every day we see like a gacha game with some story where the characters die in brutal ways. So I'm very excited for that. They haven't really shown much else for the game, so I'm expecting this game to take quite some time to be released. But who knows, maybe they release it soon-ish, but there's really no way to tell, of course. Now for number 2, which is of course Musume, the one game that's so different from all the gacha games. And it's finally coming out after what, 4 years? It took so long for Cygames to announce that the game will be released in English that I honestly thought they wouldn't even do it anymore. And I'm pretty sure most people already gave up on the game coming out in English, of course, until they actually announced it. So it was a really big surprise. However, having a 4-year gap for the game to be released might be kind of insane. I know a lot of people don't really like these kinds of gaps in gacha games, and it really kills the hype for a lot of people. But me personally, I really can't wait to actually play the game in English. I have been playing the game in the Japanese server for quite some time, casually from time to time, a little bit on and off, and it is a really fun game. The game is incredibly polished, has some really beautiful character models, and the characters all look incredibly cute, of course. And the music is also really nice. They honestly made an incredible job with this game, and I was incredibly surprised when I actually tried it for the first time. In case you're interested, there is a way to play the Japanese version of the game in English on your phone, and of course on your PC. I do have a video explaining how to do it, so in case you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description in case you do want to experience what the game has to offer before it does actually come out. But for those of you who do not know what Musume is, it's basically a training simulator where you train your own horse girl, and during this training you'll have to improve the stats of the horse girl as much as possible. This girl will later on be used on different kinds of modes like PvP, where she races against other players' horses, and there are also some other kinds of events where you just fight or just race against some other NPCs. It's a very interesting kind of gacha game. It's really different. It's pretty fun overall, and there are of course some concerts at the end of race that you can watch that are actually quite fun to watch, and the music is surprisingly good. Now, before we get to number 1, which honestly most people probably already know which game I'll be talking about, I would like to very quickly mention some other gacha games that will be released, or hopefully will be released during this year. Even though these gachas actually didn't make the list, I'll most likely still try them out because they do actually still look very interesting. The first one will be Stellisora. Stellisora has been announced very recently, and it's made by the same creators that made Blue Archive, and honestly it makes total sense. It really looks like Blue Archive, the art style and the direction. The gameplay does look a little bit like a roguelike version of Dragalia Lost, which is honestly for me really cool, and from what they've shown the game actually looks very fun, so I'll definitely try it when it does come out. Now, the second game I'd like to mention is NTE, aka Neverness to Everness, a very beautiful open world action RPG. Honestly, this game really feels like a version of Genshin, but in a city. There was a beta in the past. I unfortunately didn't actually get access to it, and then again the beta was in Japanese, sorry, not in Japanese, in Chinese, because it was a Chinese beta. But from what they've shown so far, the game does look good, but in my opinion it doesn't really look that exciting. The car or the driving gameplay isn't really a thing that interests me that much, and the actual combat didn't really look that much different from something like Genshin. It looked super simple and very basic. Not that it's a bad thing, but it just didn't really feel that interesting in any aspect, in my opinion, of course. I'll probably still try it out when it does come out, but I doubt I'll actually stick to it, especially because of the third and last game I'd like to mention, which is Ananta, aka Project Mugen. This game will just obliterate Neverness to Everness. It's basically Neverness to Everness, but better, because it's the same kind of thing with open world exploration in a city. You also have driving, you even have web swing from Spider-Man, and the trailer they've shown, the amount of content in the game that there will be is kinda ridiculous. Also, the music in the trailer was beautiful. I actually enjoyed it a lot. However, the combat in this game also doesn't really look that crazy. It still looked super simple. Of course, they haven't really shown that much. We do still need to see way more to actually have a good idea of what it will look like. But so far, the combat hasn't really been anything too interesting. However, the character designs, the world, and all the activities they've shown, they all look super fun and really cool. Hopefully, they release some more gameplay trailers. That way, we'll have a greater idea of what the game is going to be like. I know there has been a beta test in China, and with it some more information did come out, but there hasn't really been anything too crazy being revealed. But in any case, moving on to the number 1 spot in this list will be, of course, Azure Prilia. Is my most anticipated game of 2025. Hopefully this game does come out in 2025. They haven't really announced anything. The only new information we have are from some new copyright systems or some trademarks that have established, and with those, of course, we do have a time frame where we can speculate when the game does come out, and hopefully it will be during 2025, because good god, this game looks incredibly good. No wonder it even received an award for most anticipated game of 2024. I can't wait to put my hands on this game. The game looks beautiful. It's basically Pal World but better. You have all these animals. The game is super cute, has some really cute music. The combat looks incredibly sick, and ever since that one trailer was released, I honestly can't stop thinking about it. I'm not gonna lie, I keep checking every single day the subreddit for Azure Prilia. If there's any new information for this goddamn game, this beautiful, incredible game. Okay, I'm gonna stop glazing because Jesus Christ, I just can't get over it. I just hope the game actually gets released soon, that way we don't really have to wait too much longer, because goddamn, the wait is killing me. And that, everybody, are my top 5 most anticipated gacha games of 2025. I know there were also some other Chinese gacha games that were also announced, and those also looked super promising. Unfortunately, I don't really remember their names because of course they were Chinese, or else I would also mention them in this video. In any case, that's been it for me. Let me know which gachas are you most anticipated for in the comments down below, and of course, I'll see you all in the next video.